I used to think love was like a museum. You spend years collecting moments, first dates, anniversaries, dumb inside jokes, and you line them up neatly, like framed memories along a wall. I had that museum with my wife, Hannah. Each morning kiss, each late-night text that read, "Made your favorite pasta tonight," was another exhibit in our private little gallery. But then, one day, you find a crack in the wall. Small, barely visible. You run your fingers over it, trying to ignore the chill crawling up your spine. Let me rewind. It was a Sunday. One of those perfectly average days that pretends to be calm but hides a storm just over the ridge. I was sitting on the back porch with a lukewarm cup of coffee, pretending to read a book I'd already finished twice. Inside, I heard Hannah laughing at something, her soft, high laugh that used to be mine. I hadn't heard it much lately. She came out a minute later, barefoot, wearing that gray hoodie she always stole from me. She said, "We should go through the garage sometime this week. There's stuff in there older than our marriage." I smiled. "So, we're finally throwing out your college essays?" She rolled her eyes. "Please. Those are Pulitzer-worthy." We laughed. Together. Like nothing was broken. It would be the last untainted laugh I'd hear from her. Later that week, I found her book. You know how people say curiosity killed the cat? They leave out the part where the cat was just looking for the truth. It was a novel she'd been raving about, some historical drama with a slow burn romance. I only opened it because I needed a bookmark. Instead, I found a handwritten note, tucked between the pages like a dirty little secret. "See you tonight." No signature. Just neat handwriting that didn't match hers. Masculine. Confident. A whisper in ink. My first thought was innocent. Maybe it was from a friend. Maybe it was old. Maybe. But I stopped myself. Because maybe is how you lie to yourself. And I'd done enough of that already. I added my own note under it. Just 5 words. Simple. Clean. Heavy. There will be no meeting. Not tonight. Not again. I slid the note back where I found it, careful to crease it the way it had been, like I was preserving evidence in a case that hadn't gone to trial yet. Then I made dinner. I didn't ask, didn't accuse. I poured her wine like I always did. She said thank you with that same smile, warm, practiced, rehearsed. A museum smile. It was just the beginning. But the cracks were starting to spider across the walls. You ever watch someone lie with their eyes wide open? That was Hannah at the dinner table that night. She twirled her fork through a mountain of rigatoni I'd made from scratch, because nothing says, "I know something you don't," quite like hand-rolled guilt pasta. "So how was your day?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral, like I wasn't waiting for her to trip over her own timeline. "Oh, you know," she shrugged, popping a cherry tomato in her mouth. "Meetings. Traffic. Chaos. The usual. Casual. Effortless. Like reading a script she'd rehearsed 100 times. And I nodded along, pretending like I hadn't found a note from a stranger hidden in chapter 13 of the Indigo Throne. That I hadn't spent 20 minutes holding it like it might burn my fingers. "Anyone from work stressing you out?" I asked, gently fishing. She sipped her wine and smiled. "No, everyone's been great lately. Actually, Greg, my new supervisor, brought in donuts. You'd love him. Super laid back. Greg." The name dropped like a pebble into a still lake. No ripple. And yet, it felt off. I played dumb. "Greg. Huh. Didn't you say your supervisor's name was Naomi?" She paused, just for a fraction of a second. Blinked. Smiled wider. "Oh, right. Naomi got promoted. Greg's taking over her role for now. I must have forgotten to mention it." "Forgotten." "Sure." We finished dinner. I did the dishes while she answered emails on the couch. Her phone buzzed twice, once from work chat, once from Monica Wineglass. I watched her ignore both. That alone was suspicious. Hannah was surgically attached to her phone. But tonight, it might as well have been a brick. At 10:07, she said she was tired, gave me a quick peck on the cheek and vanished into the bedroom, leaving her wine glass half full. She never left a glass unfinished. Not even during the flu of 19. Something had changed. That's when I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened her purse. I didn't rifle. I respected the theater of her privacy. Just a peek. Enough to keep the performance going. Inside, wallet, keys, a crumpled receipt for a cafe downtown, and a second note. Folded into quarters. Different paper. Same handwriting. "Let's not wait another week." My hand trembled. Not with rage. Not yet. But with a sort of cold clarity. The kind you get before a storm. I took a picture of the note. Put everything back exactly where I found it. Then I turned off the kitchen light, sat in the dark, and stared at the ceiling until morning. Because now I had confirmation, but no answers. Not yet. Thursday. Rain. Ironic. Really felt like the sky knew what was coming before I did. I was working from home that day. Told my boss I had a migraine. That wasn't a lie. Just wasn't a headache. It was a truth pressing against my skull, demanding space. Hannah left at 8:15 a.m. sharp. Same as always. Kiss on the cheek, coffee in her thermos, that purse swinging like it held nothing heavier than gum and receipts. Don't forget we're meeting Monica for dinner Saturday, she called over her shoulder. Wouldn't dream of it, I replied. The door clicked shut. I didn't move. I just listened to the silence that followed her. 20 minutes later, I followed. Now, let me be clear, I'm not a jealous guy. Never had been. I always figured if you have to go through someone's phone or tail their car, you've already lost. But this wasn't jealousy. This was math. 2 notes. 1 missing name. 1 new supervisor. 1 husband waking up. So I followed her. Not with some GPS tracker or spy gear, just the good old-fashioned way. Headlights off. 2 cars behind. I was the world's most depressed tail. She didn't go to her office. She went to a little bookstore cafe off Briar Avenue. Cute place. We'd been there once, back when we still held hands for no reason. She parked. Waited. I did the same. And then he arrived. Tall. Wavy hair. That business casual look that screams, I know my cologne has a name. He walked up to her car like he'd done it a dozen times. Hannah got out, smiled that smile, and they hugged. Not a, hey buddy, hug. No. This one lingered. His hand slid to her lower back like it belonged there. Then they went inside together. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. The museum I'd built in my mind, the one with the kiss-shaped memories and anniversary dinners, it collapsed right then. A minute passed. Then another. Then 10. Eventually, I got out of my car and walked across the street, ducking into a stationery shop. That's where I found it. A small, leather-bound notebook. Blank pages. It practically whispered, start writing your way out of this. I bought it. Went home. Sat at the kitchen table. And I wrote. Today I saw my wife meet a man whose name I don't know, in a place I used to love, wearing a smile that used to be mine. She came home at 6:23 p.m. How was your day? She asked. I smiled. Uneventful. You ever watch someone act in a play and forget you're supposed to be in it too? That was my life with Hannah now. Every conversation, every kiss on the forehead, every plate she placed in front of me felt like a scene, carefully blocked and performed under the stage lights of routine. The only difference? I'd read the script, and I knew how it ended. After I saw her at the cafe, something inside me didn't snap. No, it settled, like dust on furniture that's been still too long. There was no rage, no shouting. Just a steady, frozen kind of knowing. And that's when I started writing in the notebook. I don't journal. Never had. Not unless you count grocery lists and sarcastic notes on the fridge like, please stop buying almond milk. No one likes it, Hannah. But this? This wasn't journaling. This was building a record. Monday. She wore a red blouse I hadn't seen before. Said it was on sale. Left the tags in the trash like I wouldn't notice. That was cute. She got a text at dinner. Smiled at it. Said it was Monica. Monica again? I said, tilting my head like a curious puppy. You two must be planning a heist. She laughed too quickly. Just her being her, she said. You know how she is. I didn't, actually. I'd only met Monica once, and I was 80% sure she didn't exist outside of Hannah's need for alibis. Tuesday. She left early. Said she had to meet a client for breakfast. She hates breakfast meetings. Says they ruin her morning coffee ritual. But there she was, curling her hair at 6:45 a.m., spritzing perfume like it was battle armor. I walked past the bathroom, watched her through the mirror. She caught my reflection and smiled tight, mechanical. You're up early, she said. I shrugged. Just couldn't sleep. Her mascara wand paused for a beat. I walked away. Wednesday. I slipped the note back into her book. The original one. See you tonight. But this time, I left it open on the kitchen table, right where she couldn't miss it. Under it, I wrote. Page 213. Read between the lines. Then I left for a fake errand, something about a tool I had to return. In reality, I sat in the car across the street and watched through the living room window like some bitter, coffee-fueled surveillance camera. She came in, saw the note, froze. For a second, she stood there, hand hovering over the page like it might explode. Then she read it, lips pressed tight. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She smoothed the paper flat, folded it neatly, and tucked it into her purse. No guilt, just calculation. That told me more than anything else ever could. By Thursday, I knew what I had to do. This wasn't about catching her in the act anymore. It was about strategy. So I started my own play. That morning, I made her favorite breakfast, avocado toast with a little chili flake and poached eggs just the way she liked. I even made her coffee in the mug that said Queen of Everything. She blinked when she walked into the kitchen. Well, this is a surprise. I smiled. Thought we could use a soft reboot. She sat, a little guarded. You okay? Yeah, I said, sliding the plate over. Just been thinking. About what? I shrugged. How things feel a little off. Not bad. Just different. I guess we've been drifting a little, huh? She looked away, focused on cutting into her toast. Maybe a little, she said. It's just work. And stress. Of course it was. It's always stress. And work has become the adult version of the dog ate my homework. Well, I said, I was thinking maybe we should take a weekend away. Just us. She hesitated. Like a trip? Yeah, I said. Cabin, beach, murder mystery dinner party, whatever. Just a break from this loop. She nodded slowly. That sounds nice. But she said it like someone who was already trying to figure out how to get out of it. That evening, I found her phone on the charger and saw her walking the dog out back. She never leaves her phone unattended. I'm not proud of what I did, but I did it. Face ID worked on my second try, our anniversary. She never changed it. I opened her messages. It wasn't saved under a name, just a heart emoji. The thread wasn't long, but it was detailed, desperate. One message stuck out. I can't keep pretending. We need to tell him. I hate lying to his face. Another, just above it. He made me breakfast today. I felt like I was drowning. I stared at the screen until it went black. And in that blackness, I saw it all clearly. She wasn't going to confess. Not to spare me. Not to end it. She was going to do it because he wanted her to. I wasn't a person to them anymore. I was an obstacle. An expiration date. That's when something inside me shifted again. I closed the phone, set it back on the charger, and went into the garage. There, in a dusty box under my old college books, I found a leather folder. Inside were documents Hannah didn't even know existed. Bank accounts in my name only, property under a trust, legal templates I'd collected over the years but never used. Until now. If they wanted a finale, I'd write the last act. That I never liked puzzles. Not because I couldn't solve them. I just hated how you had to see the whole picture after you'd already suffered through the pieces. But sitting at that old garage workbench, thumbing through legal pads and account statements, I realized I'd been solving one for months. I just didn't know it had her name on the box. They thought I'd break. They didn't know I don't break. I billed. First, the money. We had a joint account. Standard married life protocol. But what Hannah didn't know was that I'd opened a second account back in our second year of marriage. Not for secrets, just for security. I was raised by a man who never bet everything on one horse. Not even love. I started shifting money slowly. Quietly. 50 here. 200 there. Nothing that would trigger a "why are we low on groceries" conversation. I sold some stock too. Old shares I bought before we were even dating. Taxed, yes. Tracked? Not if you know where to bury the receipts. I also called an old friend, Miller. He was a family law attorney, semi-retired, with a mind like a vault and a mouth like a courtroom sniper. You finally calling me for a fishing trip? He asked, half laughing. Something like that, I said. Only this fish crawled into my boat and bit me. Silence on his end. Then, all right. Start from the top. I told him everything. He didn't say much until I mentioned the notes, the messages, the names saved only as a heart emoji. Then he whistled low. You're not looking to fix this, are you? No, I said. I'm not. You want clean or messy? Clean, I said. But make it sting. Next came the evidence. Not just phone screenshots. I needed proof that would make a judge frown and a lover panic. So I called in another favor. Marcus. He was a private investigator, the type who dressed like a hardware store cashier and moved like a rumor. He took the job, no questions asked. Give me a week, he said. You'll have 3 days, I replied. You expecting a miracle? I'm not paying for prayer, I said. I'm paying for results. The same day, I started the second part of the plan, the play. I became the perfect husband. Not a model one, perfect. Affectionate. Attentive. Predictable. It disarmed her. I brought her flowers for no reason. Told her she looked beautiful in the morning. Cooked her dinner. Let her pick the movies we never really watched because she was too busy checking her phone. And every time she said something like, "I feel like we're getting better," I smiled and kissed her forehead. Me too. She thought she was winning, which was perfect, because people never look over their shoulder when they think they're ahead. Friday night, I hosted dinner. Just us. Candlelight. Italian. Soft jazz that made everything feel like a scene from a movie where no one dies, but someone definitely gets betrayed. She wore a soft red dress I hadn't seen in a while. Said she found it in the back of the closet. I knew better. She wore it for him. She toasted with her wine glass. To us. Finding our rhythm again. I raised mine too. To new beginnings. She smiled. I smiled. Mine just had sharper edges. Saturday morning, the mail arrived. Inside, a brown envelope. No return address. No nonsense. Inside it, photos. Dates. Times. A printout of her messages. One was from the day I made her breakfast. He made eggs and kissed my forehead. I felt like I was drowning in guilt, but not enough to stop. I need you. I need us. Well, isn't that sweet? I laid it all out on the dining table. Everything. Like setting the table for a feast I wasn't going to eat. Then I drafted the note. Hannah. No yelling. No tears. No drama. Just truth. You were never supposed to read this in person. By the time you do, I'll be gone. I've seen the messages. I've seen the pictures. I've even met your mystery man. He drives a BMW and wears cologne like it owes him money. He looks like a midlife crisis in tailored pants. But this isn't about him. Or even about you. Really. It's about the moment you decided I wasn't worth honesty. That was the only betrayal that ever mattered. I'm not here to ruin you. I'm here to remove myself. Consider this my resignation letter from the theater of your deception. P.S. Check the bank account. The one you know about. It's lighter. I am too. I sealed it. Placed it on her pillow. Took my packed bag from the closet. Been ready for days. And I walked out. Quiet. No slammed doors. No parting shots. Just silence. The kind that says, I saw everything. And now I'm done watching. They say the worst sound in the world is the cry of a wounded animal. I disagree. It's the silence that follows. That stunned, shell-shocked stillness when a lie hits the floor and shatters into facts. That's what I imagine filled our bedroom the morning she found the letter. I wasn't there to see it. That was the point. But I know Hannah. She would have woken up late. No reason to rush on a Saturday. She probably rolled over, reaching for me out of habit, expecting warm skin and a familiar groan about how early it was. Instead, she got a cold pillow and an envelope. She'd sit up. Hair a mess, mascara smudged from the night before. Confused, maybe even annoyed. Then she'd open it. And read. And reread. Twice. Because that's what she does when she wants something to be different the second time around. I checked into a hotel just outside of town. Not a flashy one. Just a simple suite with decent blackout curtains and a front desk that didn't ask questions. The kind of place you disappear in without needing to disappear entirely. By noon, the call started. 5 missed calls from Hannah. 2 voicemails. The first was shaky, unsure. Logan, can you call me? Please? I don't understand what's going on. The second? A bit more brittle. A little less. Wife. A little more cornered chess piece. Okay, if this is some kind of punishment or test or whatever, it's not funny. I don't know what you think you know, but we need to talk. Please. Just call me. I didn't. Instead, I poured myself a black coffee, sat on the edge of the bed, and listened to the muted hum of traffic outside. Funny how peaceful the world sounds when you finally stop pretending you're okay. Later that day, Marcus, my private investigator, texted me one last gem, a short video clip of Hannah and Mr. Heart emoji at a boutique hotel. Same place, 2 visits. Same car. Different shirts. No audio. Just body language. It said enough. But I didn't need the footage for court. No, that was for me. For closure. For proof that I hadn't imagined it. That I didn't hallucinate the way she used to hold my hand and now barely made eye contact over dinner. It's strange how someone you know better than anyone can morph into a stranger right in front of you. Not suddenly, either. Bit by bit. Smile by lie. Until one day, you wake up and she's just gone. That evening, I got a new message. Not a voicemail this time. Just a text. You emptied the account. Ah, there it was. The truth's favorite sibling, panic. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to be cruel, but because there was nothing to say that wouldn't make it worse. And not worse for me. For once, I wasn't the one bleeding. Later that night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer. Let it ring. Then I listened to the voicemail. Logan, this is Daniel. I assume you know who I am now. Bingo. Look, I don't want drama. I didn't know you were still in the picture, man. She told me you were separated. Classic. That being said, maybe we could meet. Just talk. No need to make this more complicated than it already is. I actually laughed out loud. He wanted to talk. A man who drew my wife out of our marriage like poison from a wound now wanted to compare notes. What would we even discuss? Hey, Daniel, what's your skincare routine? You seem really comfortable sleeping in someone else's life. Yeah, no. Sunday morning, I drove to the lawyer's office. Miller met me with black coffee and a fresh stack of paperwork. Logan, he said, you're either the calmest betrayed husband I've ever met, or you're 2 hours from setting something on fire. Little bit of both, I said, sipping the coffee. The divorce packet was already filled out. All I had to do was sign and initiate delivery. But before I did, I asked him a question. If I file, do I lose the leverage? He raised an eyebrow. Depends. What are you aiming for? I want her to think she has time, that I'm processing. I want her squirming in uncertainty. Miller smirked. That's cold. Yeah, I said, but it's clean. I didn't serve her the papers that day. Instead, I sent her a single message. I'll be in touch. Until then, I suggest you don't touch anything that isn't yours. She didn't reply, but I knew she read it. The 3 dots danced on the screen for 30 seconds before disappearing. That night, I got another voicemail. This one was different. It was her voice, but smaller. Hello, Logan. I made a mistake. I know you probably don't care anymore, but I need you to know I never meant to hurt you. I just felt stuck. And I know that doesn't make it okay. It doesn't undo anything. But if there's anything left, even if you just want to scream at me, please, just don't disappear like this. For a moment, I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered what it felt like to sit across from her at dinner, watching her laugh at a message she wouldn't show me. How she told me she was tired while smelling like someone else's cologne. How she left notes in books I bought for her, notes that weren't for me. And that made it easy. I didn't erase the voicemail. I saved it. For the record, the thing about silence is it makes people fill in the blanks. By Monday, Hannah was calling twice a day, texting even more. Sometimes angry, sometimes desperate. That voice that once told me she loved me was now throwing lifelines into the dark, hoping one of them would hit water. I didn't bite. Not because I was trying to hurt her, but because I wanted her to hear the echo of her own choices. And echoes take time. Meanwhile, I was busy. I'd met with Miller again. This time to update the will, change my emergency contacts, and shift every remaining account into a secure trust under a name she didn't know. I wasn't just leaving her. I was erasing her from every corner of my life she used to live in. I had the utilities changed. I gave my landlord notice on the lease. I sold our dining room table on Facebook Marketplace to a newlywed couple who looked like hope in human form. I didn't tell them what had happened around that table. Felt like bad karma. The only thing I kept? That notebook. The one I started the day she smiled and lied in the same breath. 2 weeks passed. Then came the delivery. I had the divorce papers sent by courier to the house. Not served, not dramatic. Just delivered. Professional. Unapologetic. Inside the envelope, I added a cover letter. No legalese. No bitterness. Just one sentence. This is the only truth you owe me now, your signature. I pictured her reading it, sitting on that sofa we bought in better days. The one we laughed on, cried on. The one she probably sat on while texting him under a throw blanket. I wonder if she cried. I hope she didn't. Crying's for people who still believe they were right. That night, I got one last message. I signed them. If that's what you want. Funny. If. Like there was still a door open. I didn't respond. I'd already walked through that door. And locked it behind me. I wasn't going to see her again. That was the plan. But plans shift. 3 days after the papers were filed, I ran into her by accident at the grocery store of all places. Right next to the blueberries. Life's got a sense of humor like that. She froze when she saw me. I didn't. I picked up a pack of strawberries, examined them, looked over and said, "You doing okay?" Her eyes welled up instantly. I didn't expect to see you. You didn't expect a lot of things. She bit her lip, trying to keep herself together. She looked smaller, like grief had chewed her down. Can we talk? We're doing that now. I mean really talk. I shook my head gently. No. You had all the words, Hannah. You used them with someone else. She flinched. I didn't mean for this to happen. You did not mean for it either. Silence. I looked her in the eye. No anger. No heat. Just calm. I loved you. You were the one thing I never second-guessed. And when I found that note in your book, it broke something. Not just trust. Narrative. The story we told ourselves. Her lips quivered. I miss you. I nodded. I miss me too. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. Not because it hurt. Because it didn't. Cruelty doesn't always look like vengeance. Sometimes, it looks like moving on without a scar. 3 months later, I moved into a new apartment. Smaller. Simpler. Mine. I didn't date. Didn't drown in parties or pretend to be healed. I just lived. Peacefully. Quietly. Some people heal loudly. I healed like fog, creeping back into form slowly, completely. The divorce finalized. Clean. No contest. She didn't fight for anything. Maybe guilt made her generous. Or maybe she knew she'd already lost more than property. Daniel, the guy, apparently vanished from the picture after the fallout. Couldn't handle the version of her without the thrill of betrayal. I didn't laugh when I heard. But I didn't cry either. Funny how I used to think revenge meant destruction. Turns out, absence is louder. Revenge wasn't yelling. Or public exposure. Or wrecking her life. Revenge was leaving her exactly what she wanted. And letting her realize it wasn't me. It was a fantasy. A mirage. Something built on the lie that I was the problem. She got what she wanted. And I got what she couldn't fake. Freedom. And that was the cruelest thing I could ever give her.